Hello, hello, you beautiful soul. I had a message come through for the past week, and it's been about the return of innocence. And I have actually heard that song by Enigma, The Return of Innocence, about 3 times. I actually heard it this morning, and Spirit said, just do the message because I have been sitting on this. This is very, very dense energy, okay? And a very strong, heavy trigger warning is attached to this because this truly is very touchy topic, right? And so there's that. If you need to click away at any point, please do so. I also want to mention that I am a Reiki healer. I am not at any point in any way a trained like medical professional, okay? I'm a Reiki master. I hold space and allow people to process and heal, and I just walk them through it, right? So if you're looking for someone to walk you through dense energies, walk you through the shadows, book with me. If you just need to hear someone speak about this stuff from a perspective and through a channeled message, then continue listening, okay? Because this is about physical touch, non-consensual physical touch, right? Has been coming through. So, with that being said, I was getting this really strong message about the collective trauma regarding physical touch. 144 is a lookup. And of course, the chosen ones, the star seeds, the light workers, the earth angels, whatever, whatever you identify as, are have done massive amounts of work, right? So this message is going to be for a collective who has done massive amounts of reflecting, shadow work, acceptance, um, what did I write down? Healing, releasing, shedding, reprogramming, rewriting. 222 is a lookup. And whew, okay, so this is heavy. This is heavy and this is personal to me, okay? I do not look like what I have been through, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate, right? And this is not just about sexual touch, this is about any touch. Okay? I wrote down physical touch and energy exchange or draining through physical touch, right? This is people touching you when you aren't wanting them to touch you, right? Or even without you knowing that they were going to touch you. Either way, okay? This can be done in many different ways. So, what was coming through first was a societal programming, right? It's reinforced early on to not completely respect 333 is a look up, completely respect your sovereignty, right? And you sometimes, and this is not for everybody, but I was getting an image, and I can relate to this with the energy of the collective child being put in a position by a collective parent or um, guardian and telling them that they need to hug somebody, right? Oh, go give your so and so a hug. Go give your so and so a kiss. Come go sit on so and so's lap. They want to sit and talk to you, right? And these things are reinforced at an early age with children, and it creates this tendency to people please with your body and not set healthy boundaries, right? It breaks down the walls, kind of, is the way I was seeing it. And that this is reinforced in the collective. And it is a collective trauma that is reinforced through control, fear, and reinforcing fear through control, and this possessive obsessive energy with stealing innocence, right? Because whenever you've matured and you've grown and you learned to set boundaries for yourself, then, oh, email confirmation. You set boundaries for yourself, right? And then you no longer let people just touch you, or you don't just go and hug somebody or show someone affection if you don't want to, right? Like you're just like, no, thanks, I'm cool. Thanks for the offer, but I'm good. So there's there's this message coming through for a collective of people, and this can resonate in many different ways for many different people because we're all different perspectives and we all have different experiences. 555 as I look up. And at the end of the day, regardless of our experience, we still have something encoded in us, right? This is like the original blueprint of this protection of innocence, right? And that now this is the generation to come in and reinforce protection of innocence, not stealing of innocence, right? This is the return of innocence because it started within yourself, right? You realized you get the ick, right? To just put it jokingly, but I mean, really, it's not funny. This is serious. I take this very seriously, so don't get me wrong here when I joke about it. You get the ick, right? And you're like, no. You learn to discern, read your body, and listen to your body. What is your body telling you? You don't want this person touching you? Okay, then you tell him that you're not touching me. you know, and you no longer you just learn to protect your inner child, right? And then you get to a point where sometimes, and spirits reminding me now, sometimes it's flipped, right? Like sometimes you are triggered by your own experiences, or you're triggered because you have a desire to stand up for people that you've seen taken advantage of, right? Like some people just have always been the observers of abuse, and that's an experience in itself. But a lot of us experience abuse in all kinds of different ways and have to transmute, rewrite the story, right? Learn from the contrast and then allow that pain to fuel your purpose. Okay. So for me personally, maybe, I don't know, 15 years ago, I started really researching and studying and learning more about what is happening here with our children, right? And who is in charge of this and who should be protecting children. And then seeing all of the programming and conditioning and illusions, disillusions happening, right? And so I would research these things, topics that people wouldn't want to touch because it's uncomfortable, right? Nobody wants to go and watch evidence of people touching other people without their consent, especially when it has to do with innocence. But I was I had experience, right, and being touched, and I had been working through that. And I'm the person where I feel like if you cannot freely speak about something that you've experienced, right, without getting triggered, then you still have layers of that onion that needs to be worked through, right? You still have layers of ego that are trying to protect you. And that's what your ego is for, right? It's made there to protect you. That's what all this programming is for, but it's not all of ours, right? We reprogram, we rewrite, we take these experiences and then we turn them into fuel to learn so that we can then protect the children, right? But it all starts with ourselves. We have to save ourselves. We have to protect our own inner child. We have to get in touch with our own inner child, our own innocence, reclaim our innocence. 10 10 on the timer. Reclaiming our innocence. And yeah, so another thing was coming through about the is that I wrote down that there's a group of souls who came to dissolve this issue. Okay. And you may have soul memories of the original blueprint revealing revealing themselves. Like you may be having visions, dreams, um, just downloads or just memories, right? You might have memories of a time, place where innocence was cherished and it was respected, and it it was the beautiful contrast to wisdom, right? 1111. Oh wow. So spirit was saying that you're remembering why you came here and who you are. Some of us have been doing our own work in the heavenly realms, in the astral realms, or however you want to, you know, say this, to dissolve this energy, right? We first had to do it for ourselves. We first had to go through the training, go through the experience, transmute the energy within ourselves, reclaim our innocence, reclaim our power, so that we can then begin to do this for the collective, right? And this can manifest in the way of you have your own children, you respect your children, you teach your children to respect their own bodies. You don't force them to touch any person that they don't ever want to touch. And you advocate for them before they can do it for themselves, right? I have experience with this with my daughter. She just turned 7, and she was 3 years old before she decided she wanted to be physically affectionate with certain people. And I never once pushed her, and one person was extremely close to her and she still was like, mm. And I was like, I'm just like, no, she's not ready. Trust me that if that child comes to you and wants your affection, you will feel so honored to have earned that. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we do it, right? We change it for ourselves, we change it for our children, and then our children, it's just a ripple effect, right? It just is. It reprograms, it rewrites our bloodlines, our stories. And then for the ones who don't have children, the people who were just called to transmute this energy within the collective by working with children, by learning how just to be a child themselves, right? And anchor in this innocence, anchor in this this unconditional love, this pure light energy, right? We need that inside. We need to return to our innocence, right? And so if you're listening to this and you haven't gotten to that point where you are truly working within the collective space to dissolve this energy, either physically or energetically, however, you know, I I know that you're listening to this for a reason, right? So you could be working up to that point. I feel like is what I'm trying to say here. And for the ones that know, like, you already know. I don't have to tell you anything. You guys know what you've been doing, right? Yes, you know. And you are so powerful, truly. And I hope that this part only serves as confirmation for you that your prayers are being answered, right? Those prayers are being answered. We might not see it, and that's okay. And if you think about spirits right now telling me about an echo, you think about an echo, right? You think about the evil that is being dissolved, right? And it's like the initial pulse has been sent, right? A collective pulse. There's enough of us, trust me, that are on this wave. And that pulse has been sent, and those echoes throughout all time, space, and existence are still tapering out, I guess you could say. Tapering out. So if you just needed that, right? Maybe you're at the point where you're starting to get angry at, because I was sensing that too. Like some people really get frustrated at the unfolding of everything, but it's only because your mind is still seeking proof that what you're doing is working, and that what we have been doing as a collective in our prayers are working. They are working, right? So if you needed that, just know it's working. And you're powerful, you're needed, you're wanted. And, you know, I honor and respect every single person's perspective, right? And I'm just thinking about everything being of God, right? So this might be for somebody. If you're still seeing yourself as separate as everything else, you're not, right? You are one perspective that is all the same source, right? In those mirror rooms, right? You're still the same source energy. You're just all these different perspectives. And I guess what I'm trying to say, what is trying to come through, and I'm having a hard time articulating it, is God would never want anybody to experience the worst evils, right? He would want himself to experience it. And you are himself, right? You are himself. I am himself. We are all just pieces of the same source. And the the angel, the devil, all of it is the same thing. It's all the same energy experiencing itself through many different perspectives. And it doesn't take away the pain for each individual experience, because it's all felt personally, right? But it still is a piece of the same one. And the collective one is returning to innocence piece by piece, because people are reclaiming their innocence. They're reclaiming their inner child and truly bringing heaven to earth. So I love you. You're amazing. Also, if you want to stick around and see how cool this unicorn thing is, it's my daughter's sleepy unicorn blanket. Love. I was wearing this earlier. I love you. You're amazing. You're beautiful. You're needed. And you are either returning to your own personal innocence, or you have reclaimed your own personal innocence. And I congratulate you and honor you truly.